Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. Yes, this is an overdue cooking session. Well, not really overdue. There are plenty of cooking videos out there, so I hope that you guys are enjoying them. And today what I am making is one of my favorite things. It's super simple, but once again, people will think it took hours to make this. So this is my protein banana nut bread. So I call it protein banana nut bread because, hello, it has banana and nuts in it, but also I give it an extra kick of protein. I start out by using a baking mix that already is supposedly enhanced with additional protein. What is protein good for? Protein is what you need for your cells to remain strong and rejuvenate and repair if necessary. So your actual cellular structure. There is no vitamin that has extra protein in it. The only valuable way to get protein is by ingesting it through foods. Or beverages. Beverages can be enhanced with protein as well. So if you are working out, if you are trying to keep your energy up because you're trying to maintain a healthy weight, or maybe you're trying to lose weight, protein is something that you really need to pay attention to. And as usual, as always, check with your medical professional as to what's best for your body and your medical history. So let's get started. I'm going to pull the camera back a little bit so you can at least see somewhat inside of my favorite mixing bowl. It's actually for pasta, but I use it for my mixing bowl because I love it as that. So the ingredients that you need are some vegetable oil. I'm actually using canola oil. You need water according to the box's recipe, but anytime a recipe calls for water, I always use milk. In this case, I'm using an almond milk substitute. And also, whatever a protein powder you use, that's acceptable. I'm using one that's 100% whey. And also vanilla extract, a banana that's very ripe, so you want a ripe banana, some butter, and you need 3 huevos, or 3 eggs. And in addition to that, what I do to add an extra kick is I add almost 1 cup of nuts. And this is nuts and granola. And then what you do is you take a little bit of your baking mix and you mix it in with this. And the reason that you do that is so that your nuts don't float to the bottom or fall to the bottom when you are baking your bread. So even if you're making cakes and things like that with fruit, always add, and if you don't, want to use some of your baking mix, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you could use a little bit of powdered sugar, or you can actually use some flour to do the same thing. It's just a baking trick, and I don't know why it works, but what happens is instead of all of the fruit or the nuts sinking to the bottom of whatever you're cooking, they actually will stay suspended in the batter. So you just, mix it up like that. It's totally fine. You can add, and how much, for 1 cup, I would add like 3 tablespoons of my batter powder. So let's just get this started. What I start with is my banana, and I'm going to show you exactly how I make this. There will be no modifications. So you just take your whole banana, throw it in a bowl. I actually put my vanilla extract, and I will use 1 tablespoon of that. And yes, that sounds like a lot, but you want this to be like overly infused, and this isn't quite a tablespoon, but you really want a lot of flavor in this. And the reason that I mix the vanilla and the banana together is the alcohol, if there's any in your vanilla, it just helps impress just a little bit of extra fluid, helps break down the banana quicker. And the banana doesn't have to be soppy and soupy, but you don't want gigantic chunks of it either. So make sure you chop it up pretty well. So I'm using just one of my mixer parts to do this. So not chopping it up with a knife, not smashing it with a spoon. That actually takes longer. And what I always try to show you guys is how to do things, that are really good and sort of luxe in flavor, but simple in technique. So, and also the fact that you don't need a bunch of special fancy tools to do any of this. But I also want you to try it, so I'm going to show you what I do to make it quick and easy. So that's the consistency you want, sort of like chunky applesauce. Then what I will do is go ahead and dump my granola and nut mixture in there. And I am going to go ahead and add my milk substitute. Did you know the Dairy Council, those that produce cow's milk, animal milk if you will, they're actually getting up in arms over people using the words on their product as being milk when they're not made from an actual animal. So you will probably notice that some of the companies have taken the word milk off of their label, or they've called it, some sort of substitute or something like that. So I just thought that was like a little interesting fact. And normally, like I said, in this batter, they would call for you to add water. We are not using water, but it's 3/4 of a cup that we need of milk. So if you decide to use water, you need 3/4 of a cup. Just make sure I'm using the right measuring cups here. There you go. And I will just give that a little mix. Nothing fancy. The other thing is you don't want to over mix this batter. Next, I am going to use my protein powder. And of that, I am going to use almost 1/3 of a cup. And then we're just going to mix that together. So every time I add something, I'm mixing my batter. It just makes it easier than trying to mix like a ton of ingredients all at once. Next, I am going to add my mix here. And why do I use this particular brand? Okay, first of all, obviously, our video is not being sponsored by anyone, but I use this particular brand because when you look at the ingredients, it's all natural. So it has no artificial flavors, colors, no artificial preservatives. Also, because we're not following the recipe exactly, we have to adjust our cooking time, and I know how much time I need for this particular mix to cook. Because I added some extra ingredients, I'm going to add a little bit of time to my cooking. So normally, if you follow this, the oven has preheated. Preheat your oven at 400 degrees. Normally, if you use this mixture exactly as the directions on the box call for it, then it would take 18 minutes, maybe even a little bit less for this to cook. Because I added ingredients, and I have something else I'm going to show you that I do as a secret to add flavor, my banana bread will take approximately 20 to 25 minutes to cook. At 20 minutes, you want to check it to see how brown it is. But after that, if you go, you want to check it every couple of minutes because you don't, want this to burn. So I am going to Anthony, who's on another channel. He was talking about how he cracks his eggs with a knife. Okay, that didn't 100% work for me because I have a little bit of eggshell in there. Seems like whenever he does it, it works perfectly. That one was pretty good. I call him Uncle Ant. So shout out to Anthony. So that is that. Let me move these eggshells out of the way. And then you want to give this another mix. And notice we haven't added the oil yet. And I'm not going to overly mix this, just enough to incorporate the eggs a little bit. And that's good enough. You can see where we are in the mixing process. Now, the final ingredient is what? The oil, yes. And this calls for half of a cup of vegetable oil. So that's exactly what we are going to use. And I have to tell you, I do use a little bit less because butter is going to come into the mix. So at this point, what I will do, and I know when I cook, I don't use all of my fancy pans and things when I'm doing this online. I'm trying to wait until we have a certain number of subscribers so that I can actually have someone help with the videos, but for now it's just me, so I have to keep it simple. So what I will do at this point is slice about 2 tablespoons of butter up into little pats. So that's a pat of butter. And I will put this in the oven and take it out after approximately 2 minutes. So, and you'll see what, and the reason I do that, there's a couple reasons. One, it adds a ton of flavor. 2, if you need a little bit of, good fat, it's not good fat, but if you need a little bit of fat in your diet, obviously, add a little bit of butter. Also, it helps when you try to take the bread out of the pan so that, it's not all sticking in there. So sort of like the way I was taught to make cornbread, we do the same exact thing. Except for we probably would use just a little bit more butter than that. So now you just want to mix this up, and like I said, you don't want to over mix it. Use your spatula, scrape down your sides. And that's pretty much it. And the reason that you don't want to over mix this, you're not trying to add a lot of gluten to it. You just want to make sure all of your ingredients are incorporated. So right now I am putting the butter in the oven so that that could get nice and a little bit toasty brown. So how have you guys been doing? Have you guys tried any of the recipes? Let me know down below in the comments. Do you have a recipe you would like me to try? That would be super fun to give me a challenge, so put that down below in the comments. I would love to see what you guys enjoy cooking yourselves. Also, remember, we do have lots of videos about how to save money. We actually put a link out there for Roycotin, which is down below in the comments of this video. There are several free ways for you to save money. You don't pay us anything, you just save some money. Let me see if my butter is ready. My butter is good enough. It's not completely toasty brown, but it's getting a little bit tan. But if it gets a little bit browner than this, that's okay as well. You can see the butter, oops, sorry about that, is down here below. And then I just take it and sort of coat all of the sides of the pan just by running that butter around the edge. It's melted, so you don't really have to do much but tilt the pan. And then when it's good enough, put that down, add my mixture to the pan. And this mixture is, it's pretty hearty because you added, different things. And some of the other things that you can add to this are dried fruits. And I didn't even tell you what nuts I used. I don't think I did, but you can use whatever nuts you like. Just make sure you get all the shell out because that would be very unpleasant. Dried fruits, dates are awesome in this. My store did not have any dates this time. And they do sell dates, but they have like the ones with preservatives, and then they do have a brand that's organic, and the organic brand was completely out. So, and I don't care if they're pitted or non-pitted. If they're pitted, just remember to remove the pits and then chop them up into small pieces about the size of a raisin. But any type of dried fruit is excellent for this. Different types of nuts, like you can experiment. And then we're just going to shift this around to get that batter even. Tap it a couple times to get out the air bubbles. I'll clean the edge of my pan here a little bit. And this is what it looks like before going into the oven. So I'm going to let this cook for 20 minutes. Then I will check on it after it's been in there to see if it needs to cook any longer. No, I did not have a manicure, people. Actually, I was gardening and trying to do some quick gardening before the snow came in. And I actually just got the very beginning of the snowstorm that started. I was so happy because I did not think I would finish everything I needed. So anyway, I will be back in about 20 minutes. Okay, so I am back. I tested this with my toothpick, and guess what? It is done. Let me turn off the oven, which is on for no apparent reason at this point. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. It should have, and here's my toothpick. So your toothpick should come out clean. Nothing's on it. And let me see, quickly flip this around. Ooh, it's still hot, but I got it. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. So here it is plated, just a nice little square, and one piece of this with some fruit, like some fresh fruit on the side, and if you like coffee or tea, that is pretty much an outstanding breakfast or even a lunch substitute. This particular recipe that I made, it makes about, I would say, it makes about 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. It definitely makes 12 pieces because I'm looking at the pan and how I cut it into fourths and thirds. So you cut it in fourths going across, and then you cut it into thirds going down the long way. And you should end up with 12 pieces that are about this size. This is a really good size. Notice how my nuts and everything are throughout the bread because they did not all sink to the bottom. So that is my banana nut protein bread. It is yummy, tasty. If you want it to be a little bit moister, then what I would suggest is adding maybe a little less than a fourth more of milk. We like ours just like this. It's sort of the same, I hate to compare, but it's sort of the same consistency as a blueberry muffin that you would buy from Dunkin' Donuts, for example, minus that horrible sugary topping that they put on it. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Velvet Lounge Life. Please, like I said, leave below any recipes you would want me to try. Whether you want me to try to make one up, or if you have one, copy paste it down below and I'll try making it. Also, remember, we do have other videos on our playlist. We have how to be an actor or actress. I was in a movie with Jason Momoa recently, who was Aquaman and also on Game of Thrones. And so hopefully you find that an interesting playlist series. Also, there are lots of links down below in the description that will allow you to save money and cost you nothing. As a matter of fact, you will be sent money as part of the rewards programs that these different companies have. So, and plus we have other videos, Outlander, Poldark, you name it, how to live, how to have fun, family life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember that your health is your wealth, and without your health you have absolutely nothing. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe.